Welcome to Fact or Freestyle.
We discover hidden secrets of BMX.
And now we're going to find out what's going on.
Let's see how far down this rabbit hole we go.
Bow, 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 ba-da-ba-dum, bow, 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 ba-da-ba-dum, bow. 5 weeks. This is the best thing in the world. It's like the pad. It's like the pad on your.
Who's coming on already?
My boy Andy. No, wait. Who is that? That's Brett. It's my team manager.
Okay, Brett. Hey, Brett. Okay.
Dave.
Brett.
Hello, Brett.
So Joe, did you get a chance to look through the notes? And I know you laughed at it.
Yes.
I'm awaiting the 26 other reviews that you were going to give me.
Criteria.
Yeah.
I think I will distill the other more criteria.
So who else is going to be on here today?
We don't even know. Why am I having so much hard time?
We know one person. So here comes Aaron Laskowicz, but we have one other dude named Andy Pandemic who paid 43 cents to be on the show. Aaron, what's up?
Hello, Aaron. I love all these early birds, Joe.
So do I.
Aaron, I was hoping something. I can't see you, Aaron. Say something.
There you go. Oh.
There she is. So, Joe.
Yes.
Aaron used to live in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, the next town over. And she was a plywood hood stalker as a little girl, coming to York looking for us.
Oh,
really?
Oh.
Hey.
Hi.
Perfect. We can hear you. What's up?
Yeah. Oh, not much. How are you doing?
Real good. It's good to see you.
Good.
Hi, Aaron.
Aaron, zoom your camera down a little bit because your t-shirt just says Men's Weekend.
Oh,
and that's
can't have that.
Cool. Joe, what else? Are you good with everything? Because I know we had some notes.
I'm gonna ping Andy to tell him to join right now.
Can you think of on the spot some factor freestyles to throw at these people?
I certainly can.
Some of the ideas that I had was, and the other thing too, there's going to be some storytelling, and I'm gonna put you on the spot because I don't remember who said something at one point. Like I always forget, and you're gonna have to find that information quickly. And then the bit that I'm doing with
the green room is the best part of the show.
Oh yeah, Aaron, you guys are getting behind the scenes here.
It's like it's good. The stupid banter and
wait,
pranks.
Did you do this? And why didn't you do that? And how are we going to do this? And so, Aaron, when we do this, Joe and I have a lot of fun. This is probably the best part of the show for us, right? It's just the prep and all the interconnectiveness.
Stop. That's what I said when Dave first joined.
Yeah.
Dave did not invent that.
Dave, I'm not trying to take credit.
Dave is, I'm calling ABD.
Okay.
Dave is taking my shtick. Now
I'm trying to rain on your parade. No, that was Joe's idea. And Joe was saying how much he enjoyed this prep. Okay, so we got 6 minutes. So the other thing too is when you I want you to play the clip for Scott Hagnes because I want to start doing those. Yeah, did you read the notes, Joe?
Some of
There's-
them, yes.
There's a health and wealth vignette that we're gonna start adding in the show.
Jesus Christ, I didn't know I had to do it on the fly. Okay. Hey,
So the link is there. The link is there. The only problem that I don't really like is that it has
fuck
commercials.
it, we'll do
in
it live. Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Okay. And then if there's a commercial, so what, right? Like who cares? Because
Yeah.
remember, that's the thing that we teased Scott about. We're like, you really make a lot of revenue off your YouTube channel and all the commercials that we have to watch your little vignettes.
All right, I'm in trouble. What's up, Andy?
How's it going?
Good, dude.
Can you hear me all right?
Can hear you fine.
Sounds good.
Really? Your last name is Pandemic?
No, but hold on. Before we get to that, Andy is on the Flatland Fuel team now.
Oh man.
I've installed myself as the team manager of Flatland Fuel. And what I said was, if you put a sticker on your drink thing and then drink it on Zoom, then you're on the team.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. You're on
Dang.
actually a lot of teams. How much is James paying you to be on Team Bitter or Battle in the Rockies?
I got a free sticker.
Nice.
Did you
That's where-
talk?
That's where it all starts.
Did you talk to James about the poetic style of alliteration,
No,
like Battle at the Bricks, Anarchy and Anderson?
no, I didn't talk to him about that. He could have had the Rumble in the Rockies, the Rager in the Rockies.
Yeah, I know. What is Battle in the Rockies?
I don't know.
Come on, James, do better. Anyway, back to you, Dave, to start the show.
I just want to check, Aaron, you're on mute. Are you putting yourself on mute for a reason?
I have 3 children, so it could get it interesting in the background. So
I don't know. I
sorry.
kind of like the dynamic. I think you should just stay off. And then if it gets to the point, so far, I haven't heard him.
I'm
oh,
sorry for
that's
swearing.
good.
Yeah.
I know, right?
She's got
We'll turn that volume down.
3 kids and 2 dogs.
Yeah. I have a granddaughter that's here who's 4, and she'll often come up and say, "Hey, did you see this new dress?"
Mhm.
And so she's part of the show as well. So
Okay, that's great.
yeah, I think
That's cool.
it's all inclusive here. So I think it should be right. Andy, that's what we're talking about today. I mean, kind of
Yeah.
the inclusiveness of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll officially launch in 3 minutes. We're just, you guys are so early. Like everybody, this has never happened, Joe. They all get a prize. I don't know what that prize will be. We'll think about it. But they all showed up.
It's a green room. It's a green room prize. It's when you get.
It's
to
a
the
green room prize. So they
early.
get to witness some of the green room activity, which is, always fun and exciting.
I just, I didn't want to catch Joe while someone was doing his makeup or anything.
Yeah, right.
Did you ever do that back in the day when we were all listening to The Cure?
I never had the makeup.
I think it sounds like Joe has.
Oh, so Joe, I was trying to explain to Aaron how you toured and were in the music world periphery for a while.
Yeah.
So
Do you want me to tell that story?
she needs to learn about that at some point. But I said, no, Joe was a rock star for a while.
Just for a while.
I was touring with Lollapalooza. I'm sure no one's surprise, socially engineered my way into the inner circle and got under contract with the William Morris agency that booked everyone. And I auditioned for them as well. So then we toured in 93. I was official in 93. I was wholesaling to guys in 92, but on 93, I got on, had my booth, did the whole 10 weeks. It was super, super, super dope.
And that's what made you rich pretty much at this point, right? And that's like your main.
Yeah.
It taught me the lessons that I applied to get rich, but I hadn't processed all of those lessons when there was the full opportunity for me to get rich. And so I had to try again in a different industry.
Okay, welcome to Faction Freestyle. We're right at the top of the hour, so I just want to thank everyone for taking some time. It's going to be an exciting show. Andy was kind of the start of this because he's the one that actually signed up and paid the 43 cents. That 43 cents, hopefully you're going to get your money's worth. That's Joe, and my game is to basically make sure you walk away feeling like that 43 cents was well spent.
Enjoy yourself or the money or your money back.
Yeah, exactly. So we could always refund you the 43 cents. If for any reason you feel like, okay, guys, this was a bunch of like, really?
Well, I actually had to pay 86 cents because I scheduled for Saturday, like February 19th or something like that, when you were doing Summit 43. And then Joe was like, no, we're going to be busy. Can you schedule again? So I had to pay another 43 cents. So
Joe, I'm going to make some calls. Hold on a second.
Took out a second mortgage on the house.
Yeah.
But I was able to make it happen. So
no, we got to get him on. Yeah. Yeah. We need, no, it's 86 cents on the table. Yeah. Okay. We're going to make it happen. Now that it's 86 cents, that means we're going to have to step up the game. So, well, thank you, Andy. And I'm really glad that you brought what you brought, because there's some things we're going to talk about today. And I think it's going to be a subject that will kind of continue. And then Aaron, I think that the great thing that I like is you're representing the freestyle aspect because you ride in all discipline. And I think that's awesome. And obviously the women's side, and you're wearing a shirt from, is that from just this last week or 2 weekends ago?
No, this is from Women's Weekend in the Wood that the girls up at Posh and Caddy put on every year. So that's all, it's all dirt.
Gotcha. Cool.
She was up in Ohio 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, at the Rays thing too as well.
Oh, you were at Rays.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Aaron, that building that houses Rays housed my grandfather's machine shop for 50 years. And
no way.
And I lived like 3 blocks down, like across the, like 5 houses up down on West 98th Street. That's where I was born.
Yeah, we stayed on 100th Street, just a couple houses down. So that's an awesome little neighborhood.
Wait a second. You stayed at an Airbnb there is what you're saying?
Yeah, right on 100th Street. So it's maybe 2 blocks down from Ray's.
Would it be weird if I sought out to stay in the Airbnb that was the house that I was born in as a kid?
I don't think it would be weird. If it's up, do
it. Wow.
Actually, Joe, this spring when it's nice out, I live like 5 miles from where I first learned to ride a bike. So I am going to go to that house, knock on their door and say, I need to shoot a video real quick. And I'm going to have a board on a cinder block in the backyard and recreate the first jump I ever did.
Oh, you see my goosebumps.
Which you have a picture of that first jump already?
So good.
No, but
you don't. So you need it.
Dave, it was 1972. So 50 years later, I'm coming back and going to do the same jump.
That's nice. Yeah. Awesome.
I had a pretty random story about my start and kind of finding myself back doing flatland is the company I was working for was using an industrial design firm. And the backstory is when I was a kid, when I first started riding, there was a local bike shop that, this guy that I looked up to was, put the bikes together. I got a brand new 1993 GT Performer with all the bells and whistles, chrome, still have it to this day. Wow. I'm at this meeting for this industrial design company 20 some years later, and they're walking us around. And I'm like, man, I haven't seen the guy in 20 some years. And I'm like, man, that guy looks familiar. And I walk up to him. I'm like, hey, did you ride BMX back in the day? And he shockingly looked at me like, how would you know that? And I'm like, I think I used to ride with you in the parades. And he's like, yeah. So I'm like, you put my bike together back in the 90s, early 90s. He's like, no way. And we just started riding again a couple of years ago. So we've met all these years ago, rekindled it. We're both getting back into flatland. I still have that old GT, and I was riding it when we first met. And he's like, dude, this is crazy. Like, who would have thought, social media is crazy.
What bike shop? What was the name of the bike shop, Andy?
It was Sun City Cyclery in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin.
I don't
That
know.
His
is
name is Matt
awesome.
Poster. Yeah, he's
That's
got his
wild.
own little bike company now called Basic Bicycles.
Oh,
He has
okay.
like billet grips, billet lockers, grip lockers, and bar ends and miscellaneous bolts and stuff for like old school stuff.
Cool.
Yeah,
Well,
That's
look out for
awesome.
Basic then. Okay, nice.
yeah.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, it's so fun to run into old people like that you like rode with. Like, there's this one guy I ran into a couple of weeks ago. I remember like going to see him do tours in like 1986 at Wooden Wheels when he was on tour with Haro. And then like, 2 weeks later, I ran into him upstairs at Chenga.
That's cool.
Oh, that was that dude.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah,
That's awesome.
he was cool. He was just a Flatlander. I mean, Wilkerson and Blyther were getting rad, and he was just a Flatlander, but he was still pretty good. He was friendly, nice guy, good rider.
Down to earth.
Yeah. Yeah. He was happy to see us, and he was happy because we rode with him.
That's so dope.
Joe,
Yes.
did you get the quote for Rob Lowe?
Sure did. And,
Why don't you share that? We always like to open up the show with a quote that kind of sets the stage, so to speak. So what did you stumble upon?
Well, this one is particularly beautiful. And
okay, go ahead and read it so that we can people that are listening.
It says, in judging others, you limit them, but define yourself.
Mm.
And so I think what he's talking about is being a contest judge. Is you're limiting them, but you're actually defining yourself. So like if you have Jody Temple judge your contest run, Jody's basically defining himself. And I think that's just pretty amazing considering that Rob Lowe never even met Jody Temple.
Good point. And it's a perfect for this topic of today that, well, Andy kind of has brought it to us. We talked about, well, why don't you talk about what your comment was, Andy? Then you can kind of relay, just your thoughts on how that came to be.
Yeah. So I was watching the episode where, the female freestyle kind of contest was being discussed and the inclusivity of bringing them along and, trying to build that scene up. And for me, being, just turning 40 a couple months ago, getting back into riding after 20 plus years. And I feel like the pandemic kind of spawned a bunch of people to kind of revisit that. When you're locked down, can't really go places very, very much, it's like, what do you do? So for me, I ended up getting furloughed. So I started riding again and found rekindled that love. But, being as old as I am, I'm not very good. I just learned fire hydrants and, fakey, peg wheelies, last year. And, I see these contests and I see these jams being posted and all the footage of it is just rad riders, like people, like Dave, you at York Jam, I was watching a bunch of videos of that, all these crazy, awesome riders. And for me, I'm introverted, but for me, it's like, I don't want to go there because one, I don't know anyone really. There's local riders around here in the Milwaukee area and Chicago, but I don't feel friendly enough to just like show up at a big jam with people and just, do my basic kind of crappy beginner riding and feel comfortable. I feel like I would be, bugging people or, not really being judged, but it's kind of that stigma of like, you see these really amazing riders and you don't want to, interrupt them or take some of their time away. So, so my comment to Joe and you guys was, is there a way that we could advertise or promote or do something for contests and jams to kind of make the, improve the appearance of anybody can come, It's not that it was an intentional thing of like, we only want the best riders. But from my point of view, you know, I'm speaking only for myself. I don't know other, you know, if anybody else has this view, but, you know, it seemed a little kind of focused to really good riders, really good contest riders, people that were competing. And then these jams were just a bunch of really great guys that were already friends kind of meeting up and jamming. And I just didn't feel comfortable going to these events. And, you know, it was no fault of any of the promoters or any of the contest stuff, but, you know, I just posed the question if there was a way that, you know, people, you know, just suggestions on things we could do to make it seem more open to the everyday rider, where it's like, doesn't matter your skill level, show up, have fun, you know, people are friendly. So that was my, you know, that was kind of the spur that started this discussion going.
I have an incredible idea of how to achieve that.
Yeah.
Now, before I tell you this incredible idea, which you just inspired in me, before I tell y'all this idea, I want you to pause for a moment and imagine what I might say. Okay. The jam is a jam where you have to work on stuff that you can't yet do. It only learning. And you will get points demerit if you get caught doing something you know how to do. It costs $50 to join the jam, and you'll get it back, provided that no one has caught you and has video evidence that you've done a trick.
You can do that trick.
You can do.
I love it.
You have to either learn a completely new trick, or you have to learn how to do an existing trick oppo, or you have to learn an existing trick backwards, or you have to learn an existing trick crossfoot. Okay,
Brett's got some facial expression. What was your response to that comment that Joe just made? Because you had something that some look that.
I mean, my first thought was Joe's going to say a titanium seat post and you're in. But dude,
you have to put a grip on a titanium seat post.
I don't know, Joe. Like, I'm not going to put up $50 for anything. You know, I'd go ride flatland in my parking lot by myself for free. Why would I put up $50? And just, I don't want to have to limit things. Say you can do this, you can't do that, because that's kind of like, okay, we're going to have an opposite of a contest today. Yeah.
Great idea, but yeah, we need to. Yeah, it's freestyle, and that's what I think that organically that does happen in a jam when you're comfortable, because you do your stuff and you do your tricks that you know, and then you get to the. I mean, that's what I did a lot with York Jam. I got to ride with Dane, and I don't get to ride with Dane much, and we were just like goofing off and doing stuff and coming up with new links and whatnot. So that happens organically, is my point.
I think during contests too, a lot of people, maybe the beginner riders all get together and ride somewhere else, like because they see the pros riding and everybody gets together. I think with feeling comfortable at a jam to go ride, you just have to take that first step and go. Like, there's a ton of us that are riding. I think that's why a lot of that kind of echoes a lot of how women felt in the beginning with going to parks and skate parks and dirt trails and riding flat. Like, there's nobody like us. Like, we're not that good. Do we even belong here? So, I mean, I can definitely relate. And as an older rider, it's hard to reintroduce yourself too, because sometimes you're a little limited by, how your body has changed over the years, or, do you fit in with these young kids that are riding? So it's just, I think it's all about just taking that first step and getting over your insecurity and doing it.
Yeah, that's where I went with it. Is like, how can we instill that courageousness or that ability to kind of push yourself a little bit beyond? And I'll tell you, when I came back into riding, I went to Montreal to enter the real spin contest. And this was a big deal for me. I mean, I never stopped riding, but as far as competing, and it was, they called it the old school. Wait.
Old cool.
Old school.
As in old is
no,
cool.
No, that's what James called it. This was just vet. It was a
veteran
vet class.
It was,
he called it a vet class. Anyhow, and I was just hit 50. So Andy, similar kind of thing where I was just like, and I have my tricks, I have my bags of tricks, but we were out at Chinatown, which is where Dub's spot is, like, and all the pros were there. And I actually had a back injury. It was either my shoulder or my back. So I was kind of nursing that. And I almost left my bike in the car. I was just going to go, but you know how that is when you're there and you want to have your bike, even if you go off somewhere else and ride with some, a smaller group. So I decided to bring my bike, and I sat there and these guys were just killing it, like Uchi and Dub and all the top pros. And then I'm just like, screw it. I'm just going to go do a slider into a quick spin, into a Nori handstand. And I did like my most basic trick, but I did it, very much performance style, right? Like show ready. Large Ray would have been proud because I don't think I touched that link, because he's always giving me a hard time that I touch so much. So he's working with me on that. But I mean, that's my point, is that I just took that extra little step. And how can we create a space or an environment? And I think I'm with what Brett's saying. It should be free, because we're not gonna charge. We just want to have it, open forum, come out, hang out, and how we can introduce it to, like, hey, it doesn't matter if you
wait. The $50 was so that we could take $1 out for every trick, but then you give it back at the end.
Oh, I missed that.
Like an insurance policy.
Yeah.
Which Brett also said was a bad idea, but I just want to correct the record. Go ahead, Dave. Continue.
Right, gotcha. Okay, so you weren't trying to once again make money off of freestyle.
Once again, make money off of freestyle.
Well, you always talk about you never make any money on versus freestyle.
Oh, I've got a massive money maker that we'll talk about later today.
Okay.
But I get Joe's point. Like, something to incentivize people not to just do contest runs that they've been practicing the same run for the year just to do for contests. So they have everything dialed and they're just nailing all these tricks. Something to break them out of that comfort zone of, okay, that's cool. You did that line. Let's do something else. And, one of the things, I'm an over prepper. So like I have a whole list of like talking points and ideas and stuff,
That's so
to steal the show, basically. Like, I know what I want to talk about. I'm going to make you talk about it. But to Dave's point, this whole process of being at a jam kind of is what freestyle is about. It's that innovation where when you're in a comfortable group of friends and you just start messing around, and it's like doing just ridiculous things. And it's like, oh, that almost worked. Well, what if you did this into that? And then you start trying something, and all of a sudden, like, innovations in the stoke of landing something that you just created out of nothing, just pulled out of the ethos. And all of a sudden it's manifested into this like organic thing with all your buddies, and all your friends just hanging out. And, that's kind of what I like about jams, and I want to come to, but it could be just me that's feeling uncomfortable with that. And I need to break out of my skin. And maybe, this whole podcast and meeting you guys for the first time will be that kind of catalyst that gets me out of my, my introvertedness and my kind of shyness.
Okay. I have another amazing idea that you just inspired. Okay. This is incredible. So when you, Andy, come to know that someone has similar apprehension about showing up at jams, when like super famous people like Dave Nori, who survived walking through nuclear rain, just to be clear, who has actual superpowers, it's very intimidating. Dave was intimidating me when I first met him. He scolded me on video while learning his signature trick. So I understand that Dave can be very intimidating. You or someone can pay 43 cents for that person to come on to the show so that I can get to be friends with them. And then we'll have other dudes on here so that you get the vibe, right? Because it's like when I started, like when I got back into Right. All right. I'll tell my story because I had the same thing. Okay. So in 2010, there was a contest in Dayton, and my homie Zach was running it, and I got out there. It was my first contest in like 20 years. I had done some practice for it, but I was still riding in straight lines. It was like 80 feet long, and I was like, oh, this is a tight contest area. Anyway, so I get there, I see the contest spot, and then we're gonna go like to dinner. So Scott Nagy had come out with me, and I had been riding with Scott. Scott knew a bunch of other guys, like Scott knew Andy Cooper, and that dinner, that's the first night I met Tyler Gilliard, and Tyler is freaking beast. So we're having dinner, and Tyler is telling the story about when he was auditioning to be a stripper, and they had to measure his cock. And I was like, well, I guess getting into anything is, there's always these auditions that are going to put some stress and strain on you. And if Tyler can stand up in front of a bunch of stripper assessors and have his unit measured in order to get a job, by the way, then I think I can ride this contest tomorrow. And so that, to some degree, was how Tyler Gilliard was my spirit animal.
or his cock was, at least.
Tyler Gilliard's ding dong was my spirit animal because of how he sustained pressure under financial consequences.
So Joe, remember that Erin has young children amongst her. So just be
I'm so sorry.
sensitive to. I mean, I'm just saying.
I thought we were being honest.
This is a PG show, so I just want to make sure. But Andy, maybe you could. You had another idea of a contest format, and maybe you could share that.
Oh, yeah.
I think we should just throw everything on the table, and then
Yeah, and then we can digest it.
Yeah.
So you guys were talking about.
Wait, Brett. Wait, just a second, Andy. What were you going to interject, Brett?
I just wanted to say before we get to the next thing, Andy. I just show up and ride, so I haven't felt that way in a long time. But I want you to realize something. I grew up riding with Kevin and Mark and Chase, and talk about feeling intimidated every time you got on a bike around people. These were the guys I rode with every day.
Yep.
What I eventually figured out, it didn't matter that they were better than me because we were putting forth the same effort. I was putting forth the same effort on one decade that Chase was on 3. So that's why we all worked, because I showed up and I tried my hardest and it was cool. If I had showed up and just kind of goofed around and didn't really take riding seriously, then it would have been an awkward situation. So don't worry about your skill set. But if you're out there trying as hard as everybody else is trying, then you are no different from anybody else in the parking lot.
And I also just want to add too, Andy, I think you're talking on behalf of a pretty good sized group, people that are over 40 that have now, whether it's a pandemic team that's now created because of that, or just because people, I want to go buy that GT performer that I never got to as a kid, or, I want to go start hanging out with buddies and go dirt jumping or riding or what have you. And then Joe, I was also thinking about some of the things that Wilkerson said on Summit 43. We had some really good highlights. Can you share a few of those? Because Wilkerson, he always has some, you kind of have to get through a lot to get it, but then you kind of whittle it down, and there's some pretty powerful, I think, apply to this. Joe, do you have those in your notes?
There were 2 things that came out of Summit 43 that were impactful for me that I'll share. The first was during Bill Nitschke's session, when he went around the room and he asked everyone, what did you want to be as a kid? What did you want to be
Right.
as a kid? What was your dream? And in order for me to answer that in a way that made sense, I had to tell the story of where I came from. And that felt good because I have told, I have not told a lot of people where I came from. And so that felt good for me to walk through my story. And so I realized that that's a very good thing to be able to say. And so getting back into it, I would say my takeaway was, like, before you go riding, actually physically warm up. So sit in a hot bathtub, take a hot shower. I have a hot tub that I use now because my mentor recommended it. And tell yourself the story of your story. So that was something else that Wilkerson talked about. Talk to yourself, write your story. Oh, hey, Dave.
Hey, Dave.
Hello.
Hey, nice.
Hello.
Welcome.
Happy birthday, man.
Well, thank you very much. You know, I enjoyed ordering off the senior menu.
Yeah.
We're,
How you doing,
we're,
Dave?
we're camping right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We're glad
Yep.
glad that you made it. Okay, I just want to add something, Andy, that I got out of Wilkerson. So Wilkerson said, "You never fail, you only learn." Like, and he just really drilled that home. And the other one is that you need every bit of your personal power to get where you want to go. And I think that's, across the board, but especially when you're putting yourself in a very vulnerable place. They say like public speaking is like the most nerve-wracking thing ever. And I think also showing up and riding in a contest is along that same line because you're really putting yourself out. And then the third one was, if you're comfortable, you're doing something wrong.
Yep.
And I love that idea that this is Wilkerson, Dave, that Wilkerson's quote that we're sharing. Just to bring you up to speed, I don't know, Brett, why don't you bring Dave up to speed just so that he knows kind of what the conversation is?
Dave, we're talking about, this is going to be hard for you, about feeling awkward riding your bike in front of people. For example, if you haven't been riding for a long time and you got back on the bike and you're very rusty, or you're just not as good as the people around you. That's what we're discussing. It's about just getting over that awkwardness and what we can do to make people feel less awkward.
And Andy was just going to say, like, so your idea now, going back to what you were going to share, like you were thinking about a format specific that you were going to propose.
Well, yeah. So it came back to, again, that podcast where you guys were talking about how to structure contests to kind of level the playing field a little bit across the board. So people, you can have different classes, obviously, but even across the board of a class, there's varying degrees of skill level. And so a way to level the playing field is to impose a lot of restrictions. And this also helps drive innovation because, like what we're saying, breaking out of your comfort zone, that's where innovations thrive, is when, you could have 50 tricks dialed and you can do those 50 tricks very well. But if they're all back wheel tricks, then you're limited. So having a contest, so my contest idea was, kind of going back to the old school of like 2.5 to 3 minute straight runs, no pauses, no, downtime between two riders. It's you get 2.5 to 3 minutes, play, ride through a song. The next restriction, or the main restriction, is a maximum of 3 trick combos. So you can only link 3 tricks together. And if you're spinning, you can obviously spin more than 3 times, but you can't link more than 3 tricks together. And you can't repeat that link anywhere else in your run. So you can't repeat those 3 consecutive tricks in that order. You can reverse it, or you can shuffle them around, but you can't do the same the same link together. Another restriction would be at least one front wheel trick or combo if you want to limit it to combos, and one back wheel combo in your run. You have to have at least one of each of those. Another one is one scuff trick, mandatory, at least one scuffing trick. You got to scuff more than once. You can't kick once and then coast. I'm talking, funky chickens for 15 feet, and then when you judge, then the judging would have to be judged accordingly. So originality, another thing is, being judged on the use of the contest floor. Back in the days, Dave, you guys were riding on basketball courts, use the whole thing. I mean, back in the day, you guys were riding around the ramps at the end and trying to gain speed for these, whiplashes and stuff. And that was awesome.
Yeah.
The use of the contest floor, diversity of tricks. Like if you're linking old school, new school, mid school, all in the same 3-link, combo, you get point, maybe that's bonus. So, you structure it in a way where it pulls everybody out of their comfort zone. You can't have, you can predetermine your contest run, but it's not going to be, a whiplash into this link that goes on for a minute and a half, and it's just constantly spinning, jumping, spinning, doing this, and then you're done. It's, you force them out of that, and you force, back wheel riders to ride front wheel. You ride front wheel riders to ride back wheel. Bring back, decades and all sorts of, cherry pickers and stuff.
So you're saying that you're also breaking it down into, you could have a category of rear wheel only because I'm not very good all around, but I'll kill my back wheel.
No, but the whole point is that now you have to learn front wheel tricks if you want to compete.
I agree with that, but I'm also saying you could have a competition on just the front or the back too. You can break it down that.
Well, yeah.
Like having a park contest with no tail whips or bar spins. Like,
oh,
right.
Exactly.
Like how many bar spins are you going to see today?
Yeah.
So you're saying, Andy, you're kind of taking and restricting and putting a lot of guidelines, and then out of that, you become innovative. And sometimes that happens even when you're riding. You break a front, brake cable, but you don't want to end the session. So it's like, okay, what can I do? Yeah. I used to have a front brake, now I don't. What can I do without a brake? Kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Exactly.
It sounds like he's trying to bring back the scooter class that nobody watched.
Oh.
What the fuck is Andy talking about, dude? Front wheel, back wheel.
Let's welcome Ray to the show.
Andy,
Ray, thank you for joining us.
Freestyle.
I would disagree them taking the fun out of freestyle. I'm forcing you to have
free.
Oh,
the
free
out of freestyle.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just here to cause a ruckus, man.
Yeah, always, Ray.
What you're saying could be totally perfect, but my opinion's, my opinion, and I know Dave agrees with me because Dave always agrees with me.
Oh my God, who's that?
Michael Parente.
That's an extra bonus.
Damn. What's up, Mikey?
Hey,
Mike.
What's up, guys? Hell yeah. Looking good there, Ray. Looking good.
I always look good.
How you doing there, Mike? It's been a long time.
Doing great, man. Having a good time hanging with Dave. Little camping trip, and yeah, man, life's good. Can't complain.
All you do is hang out with Dave. How long you been doing that?
Since I was 16, so what am I? 44 years now.
It's a life sentence.
It's a life sentence. Yeah, every time we ask Dave on, he's always got other people that just show up, right, Joe? This is not, this is a regular thing. Mike is his sidekick. Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
I like how Dave has the background blurred because who knows what kind of sketchy camping trip you guys are doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I didn't know.
Probably got endangered animals hanging from a tree that you killed. You guys are getting ready to eat some like piranhas or something. Who knows what you guys are doing?
They're camping in a restricted area.
Yeah,
exactly.
Area 51.
Now we're all there. Really? It's like on portrait mode.
Like a Beastie Boys video.
Yeah, it does. You guys, can you bust a little rap for us right now? It looks like, yeah, he totally looks like a Beastie Boy video.
Right?
I just said that.
I just repeated it.
Dave, Ray just called ABD on you.
I know, Ray. What's up?
What's going on?
What do you got? How many Swatch watches you got on today? You got 2. What's
just 2?
Come on,
just 2. That's all I can.
Is that
find,
because?
You know?
Is that because?
Is that the one?
Larry, though, we gotta get closer.
Did you get word that Dave Volker was going to be on the show? That's why you're wearing Swatch watches.
You know, when I got this Swatch, Dave was in the building. Dave was one of the few people that was there to witness that 900.
Are we talking about the Swatch watch and the 900 now?
Yeah.
Yeah. I also have an added twist that I didn't realize that I had Kevin Martin's Pops watch that he was wearing when he announced it. So that may add to the nonsense of having this watch.
Don't you think Matt wants it back by now? Maybe he's, reconsidered.
I asked him if he wanted it, and he said he would lose it. So I think I'm just gonna I'm gonna get a safety deposit box, because a lot of people have been offering me tons of money for it. So now and I always said I wanted to give it to his kids. So I'm gonna get a safety deposit box and give most likely his daughter, because she's the older one. And girls usually make better decisions than guys, that I've noticed throughout my life. So I'll give her the
Not
key,
your wife. Not your wife.
She made a great decision. She made one of the best decisions of her life back in 2006. Brett was there. He saw it.
Dave, we can't really see you. Get a little closer. You're like a blur.
I know, he's like a little blurry. He's blurry face.
Well, I'm old and wrinkly. I don't want to show that.
If you were smoking what they're smoking, you'd be blurry too.
Okay, we're kind of going off script a little bit, and that's good. That's what we need to do.
That's what we do.
But Ray, Joe,
somebody had to stop Andy. Andy was on a roll. I didn't know what he was going to do.
I told you, I hijacked the show.
Andy sounded like he was going to take a hostage and go to the roof, and we're going to have to call 911.
Well, it's
Okay.
Ray busts in like he's the Kool-Aid guy.
I know.
I am the
Everything
Kool-Aid
goes
guy.
Crazy.
That's Ray. He's the Kool-Aid guy.
Yeah.
Aaron,
yeah.
Aaron, what do you think about this whole thing? I'm sorry that you have to put this. We asked you to come on, and now it's just turning into a whole crazy show. Are you feeling like you're getting your voice in?
Sure. Just like, I don't know what you want me to talk about, I guess, as far as
Aaron,
I know you guys ramble different directions a lot of the time.
Exactly.
Aaron, you've ridden with a lot of young kids, and you've helped out at different events. What do you do as a pep talk or a prep to get young kids that are entering their first contest to get over the nerves and feel like they belong?
I mean, I can't really talk because all the kids are wanting me to enter a contest, and I've been terrified to do that. But I mean, with the little kids are easy to talk to because they just want to hang out and they just want to feel like they're heard, that they're taken seriously. So, I mean, I don't really push kids to do something they don't want to do. They do it on their own. Same thing with adults. It's you can't really make anybody do something. They have to do it themselves. Much like Andy wanting to feel included in a group, he just has to do it himself. He's the only one stopping him.
Hey, Ray, don't you have a story that you could share today that might kind of, I don't know, bring this around? Didn't you have an experience? I know you were this close and you were tasting that fame, and then it didn't quite work out. Was that something that you want to share today?
Yeah. There was a time back in 1980, 88 or 89. And anyone that has eyeballs, I'll show them the video of my run back then. And but it was a contest that I entered and I got 12th place. And out of 80, 90 riders, however many there were. And to me, it was a really big deal. And the next day, one of the AFA officials came up and asked me if I rode ramps, and I was like, no. I'm like, I can pop out and I can maybe get to coping. And he said, well, he goes, you did so well in your run yesterday that if you entered ramps and Dave Volker and Dino DeLuca somehow don't enter, you'll get first overall. And so I was like, wait a minute. If I get first overall, Gary Pollock, my good buddy, he always gets the overall in his class. And I was like, I have an opportunity to get the first overall and stand there and get a photo with Gary Pollock, like holding a trophy that I won. Well, technically wouldn't have won. And the only thing I needed was 2 people to not enter, 2 of the best ramp riders in that class, which was Dino DeLuca and some guy named Dave Volker. So I immediately went up to the nicer of the 2, which was Dave. And Dino was my buddy back then. Like, Dino's still like a good guy, but I'm just busting his balls because if you know the 2 of them, Dave's very easygoing and he's just along for the ride and doing what he does, which is great. And then you get Dino and he's like very serious. So I went to Dave and I said, Dave, if I enter ramps and you don't enter, I can get overall. And before I even said that, he's like, I just won't enter. I just won't enter. I don't care. I immediately ran over to Dino, told him the situation. And he was just like, sorry, Ray, I can't do it. It's my job. I got to enter. So I was like, all right, there goes my dream. So Dave was going to give me my dream in life and Dino took it away. So that's why I love Dave Volker. He's done a million good things in the world. And one of them was that. I consider him, he actually did it. You know what I mean? He took one for me, even though he really didn't. And I hope he beat Dino that contest. So that way, you know, so it never happened. I never got my trophy. You know, nowadays kids get a participation trophy. I didn't get that. I just got maybe a kick in the nuts and a homeboy sticker when I got home, but you know, that's about it. So.
Great story. Thank you, Ray.
Remember that, Dave?
Yeah. What do you remember that?
Dave don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
Remember much.
He remembers some stuff.
I think it's feasible.
I heard I had a good time.
Did you catch a wolf? What is that?
Danny M grabbed Toto. It's a twister. It's a twister.
Can you, Mike, figure out the filter on that so we can see you guys?
I know,
it's like
right?
looking out of an ice cube. It looks like the episode of the Brady Bunch when they got stuck in the meat locker and it was all fogged up.
He's got it on like portrait mode. I don't know what. Oh.
If you take it off of portrait mode.
What a great idea, Joe. Damn,
take it off what?
Technical dude.
Take it off of portrait mode.
Oh, that's a genius idea.
Yeah.
I should have thought about that.
Yeah. Joe says it. Joe says it like he's a hostage. He's like, take it off the portrait mode. Don't shoot.
Don't shoot. Please, just don't shoot.
The money's
I
in
don't
the
even know
safe.
how I got on portrait mode. It's not my phone. It's your phone.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
So I have a question for Dave Volker. Did you ever get nervous performing in front of people, even once in your life?
Of course, yeah. No, I think it was actually in Philadelphia when we were in front of what is your stadium there, Ray? Like 60,000 people or something.
Probably the stupid Eagles.
The Eagles.
The stupid Eagles.
I was that's another story. I got there. Yeah, there were a lot of people there at that.
They're fluffy. Fluffy.
I did an Eagles halftime, and the people were so far away, I felt completely disconnected. But NBA halftime, the fans are right down on the court, and that was way more intimidating than an NFL show.
You're right, but the roar of 60,000 is definitely a little different.
That was just because I walked out onto the field, Dave. They weren't cheering for you. They're like, is that Ray? Holy cow! Yeah! Large Ray's here. Holy shit.
So how did you condition yourself?
I'll tell you, though, that contests were seriously like nerve-wracking and destroying my mind, you know? Like
it was too much pressure. It was just I hated it by far. I hated all contests.
Did you really? I always felt that you were like just there and having a great time. Like I would have never guessed. The only thing I could have guessed is that you're going to ride the Back in Black. Other than that, I thought everything else was.
Yeah, exactly. And he was going to fly out and throw his bike. And that was another one that you knew was coming. But, you know, remember, Joe, we had someone on that was talking about Volker and his feeling about contests. And it was something about, do you remember who it was, Joe, by any chance?
I don't remember who it was.
Okay, so whoever it was a writer that said, yeah, I love Dave Volker. It might have been Rick Thorne. Like Dave Volker's approach on the contest, he's like, I just go out and ride. Just the fact that there's judges out there judging me doesn't change anything. So you had that, at least we were all fooled, because that's what, you know, I always thought of. You were just out there.
Oh, I do know who said that. I do know who said that. It was Dave. And it was Dave, when Volker said that. He said, I'm going to ride. Y'all are having a contest.
Well, yeah, it was a show, right? I mean, once we got past the AFA deal, then I was comfortable. I already had a foundation. But when I started with GT, it was like, you know, I'm up with these other guys, Fiola and stuff, that I'm trying to like be a part of the team, you know, and GT's putting pressure on, and it killed me inside. But then to him, I got to do whatever I wanted and entertain people how I wanted to. Big difference.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of pressure on riders now to perform, like at least the pros that I ride with now and then, like it gets really hard, like mentally, for them to go through it. Like it kind of kills the fun a lot of times.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons I stopped entering contests, was I don't need to put that kind of pressure on myself and say, I'm going to spend the next 3 months working on this routine. You know, and I just want to go out and ride and have fun. And, you know, but then again, I think that some of the top pro riders, they have to focus on this routine or these specific tricks in the skate park, because that's what you have to do to be competitive at this point. You know, I just think people need to realize what you see at the contests has nothing to do with what 99% of riders are doing every day.
Yeah.
I see more innovation in people just riding by themselves sometimes, or like the unknown kids that nobody sees. Like, I think grassroots people push the envelope more sometimes because you're not having that audience, but social media allows you to have that audience if you want it.
Well, that's why the York Jam was started, because all the good stuff was in the parking lot before the contest, and that's where everybody did their best tricks. Like you'd see Chris Day go out there and do one of the greatest runs in the jam circle out at the Holiday Inn, and then he'd have a like 2 minutes to do his run, and it was, you know, the parking lot was way better.
I had the best time riding at Reynolds with like Brett or Alona or Kevin or anybody that would show up, and those were the best times. Those were the best sessions.
So how about an icebreaker? So part of my thing is, like, if I come to a jam, I probably wouldn't be approaching, you know, any of you guys, just because, you know, I would feel insecure, like, hey, oh my God, you know, kind of fanboying and, you know, kind of coming in as just a nobody. Like, I don't want to be annoying or anything like that. And, you know, like, what would be the best way for somebody, you know, like me to approach you guys and in a way that, you know, kind of broke the ice or something? I don't know.
I got two amazing ideas. I've got two, at least two.
I have two.
Okay, so the first one is walk up to him and shake his hand and squeeze really, 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 really hard. Really hard. Now, if that doesn't work, the second one is to go up and say, hey, what's up? I'm Andy.
Yeah.
What's going on today?
See you guys later.
and then say something about his bike and then go and ride.
So 2 weeks ago, Andy, when we were at Chenga for the weekend, I saw some random guy just standing around. And I went over and said hello to him. And he's like, yeah, my kid is riding his scooter downstairs and I heard music. So I came upstairs and I looked and I'm like, oh my God, there's Dave Nuri. I said, oh, you know Nuri? He goes, yeah, well, I used to ride Flatland when I was a kid. And I said, when did you ride? And he said, from like 85 to 88. And I was like, oh, well, that's cool. And I said, well, then if you know Dave Nuri, over there, that's Gary Pollock. That's Large Ray. That's Mark Eaton. That's Kevin Jones. And his jaw just hit the floor. He couldn't believe it. And I said, I'm Brett from the Plywood Hoods. And he was just like, what the hell? And I was like, do you want to go over and meet the guys? And he's like, I'd love to do that. And it's just he just went over. He's like, hey, I'm Dave. How you doing? I'm like, Kevin, this is Dave. Gary, this is Dave. So
for me, all you'd have to do is come up to me and say, hey, Dave, my front brake isn't working so well. Is there any way you could just help me get it to lock better or something like a real situation? Or another thing was like, hey, I was working on this ant rider variation and I wanted to do this, like bringing anything, any idea or any problem. Like I'm all over. I remember when we were on the 86 horror tour. Do you remember that poster? It had us all like standing. It was Wilkerson, Blyther, Rich Segure, and we're all like posing, like total, like just full of ourselves, right? Yeah. And I remember that tour, the kids especially talked about that. Like, you guys were so intimidating. We saw, and that was part of marketing that Haro did. And then when we met you guys, it was just like, come on over, let's go ride. And we did a lot of just hanging out and doing a barbecue and going to ride, their half pipe. I'm sure Volker, you did a lot of that as well. We do the show, but what's the best part is we go hang out with the locals. So you always have that, to bring to the table.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that back in the 80s, when we would go to a show, I remember like the BMX Action show in 85. There were 200 people on bikes there, and there were like 5 of us that rode with RL and Ron Wilton. And we were just like, they're riders, we're riders, let's just ride. And everybody else just sat on their bikes too intimidated. And we're like, well, just, come ride with us. And, I've done that to Aaron in the last couple of years. I'm like, come on, Aaron, let's go ride. Come on.
Whatever, Brad. That's like when I showed up to like the first York Jam after how many years living there.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather just ride with you guys normally in a parking lot than with all these people that I don't know. Like,
yeah, but it was, it all worked out. So
I remember
awkward.
When Kale started riding with all of you guys, like, I guess he was invited by Kevin. Like, I used to ride with Jason. I used to live with Jason Kale, if any of you guys know him. But he was so nervous the first time he rode with you guys. And he's like, Aaron, you got to come with me. I'm like, I don't want to go. Like, I don't want to go.
Who do you look up to, Aaron, that you inspired to? I know you asked for a couple of different people to join the call, but unfortunately we haven't had them on yet. But
when I was little, my favorite, like, I looked up Chris Daughtry just because she was like one of the very few girl riders I ever saw. Brent and I were talking about like Sherry Elliott. Like, she was pretty innovative and pushed the envelope a lot. And Kim Klesiak, like, she's one of the girls that I definitely look up to because she's been doing it for so long, and really pushing things. Like, she's like a flatland rider. She's very persistent. Like, she hasn't given up.
Yeah. And about the whole Flat Queens and the online contest that's happening with
Yep. Like,
is that something you're going to enter?
I'm not a very big contest, like, Andy, no. I'm not a very big contest person. Like, Huffman's on my butt about the freaking Huff Jam, and
So what is it about? I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I'm putting you on the spot. So
I'm on the
what
spot.
is it? What is it? What is the feeling that, you know, the contest brings when you think about having to enter?
Vomit.
Yeah, right. Thanks, Brett. I don't know. It's just, I don't feel that my riding's up to par to match a lot of the people. Like, I don't want to ride just as, like, I don't know. I don't want to be judged on, I don't want to be judged. I don't want to be judged. Like, I feel like as a girl rider, kind of coming in everywhere, like, you're always judged a certain way, and that's kind of the feeling I get in the same, like, you know, you're judged going into a skate park. It's like, what can you do? What can this person do? Like, you know, maybe that's a 90s mentality that I'm still holding on to, but like, it's very intimidating, and I don't feel my bag of tricks is up to par. I think the hardest thing that I did this week was there was this little kid locally that passed away from cancer. And I guess this one YouTube rider gave him a bike, and the kid was too weak to ride this bike. And so his mom wanted a group of us to ride it, like at his funeral, like to ride him into the funeral home.
Oh, wow.
So his parents were carrying his casket from the road, and me, and it was a mix of different riders that came, like flat and street, like local guys that came and rode with me. And like, we rode him into the funeral home. And it's like, there was a videographer and all these things. And like, that was probably the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done. But yeah, doing a contest, like, it's just scary.
Yeah. I hear you.
Now, what if the contest was structured in such a way that everybody was on the same playing field? And
but then why beat somebody if you're on the same playing field and everybody gets a trophy kind of deal? Like, I like York Jam. Like, York Jam's my favorite because we got the folks from Caddy and Posh coming down that ride dirt, and they come and hang out. Like, they dork around with tricks. You got people bringing homemade ramps to the parking lot. Like, you got people bringing Sabrosa rails and rigging that up, and it's just pure jibbery, which I think is really good. And that's the kind of thing that I like, is that overlap of different genres, because I think everybody is so self-isolating right now. Like,
yeah,
you know, us older people rode everything because, like, you know, we didn't have parks, so we did flatland because that's what we had. Now there's all these parks and people can separate themselves, but I think that that overlap is missing, and it's, you know, people are doing like freaking down whips. I'm like, people are doing decades in the air. Like, that's, you know, and it's just, you know, you got the old way of thinking, like bar spin versus bus driver. And, you know, it's kind of funny how people are so separated. But if you got everybody together, like Dane Beardsley is one of my favorite riders because he's dirt and flat. And, you know, I like that mix of just weird things, like, because it makes it really innovative when you get them together. Like, you know, I like Brant Moore and his Lip Lords. I like the tech and the flat and the park mixed them together. Like, that's an awesome thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Aaron, did you ever see old videos of Dave Volker riding flatland at contests?
Yes, I did.
Because, you know, he was very, you know, ramp influence, doing like 7 360s across the floor. Nobody did that, you know? And I thought, you know, it was really cool just because, you know, he brought, you know, the Volker style to flatland the same way he brought the Volker style to quarter pipes.
Yeah, I definitely think that has to happen more. Like, you know, people are getting stuck on seeing what they see. That's why the innovation, I think, is lacking. Like, you know, that's awesome. You can do, you know, quad whips over a jump. Like, that's awesome. Like, that's strength and skill. And, you know, I would have never thought I would have seen that in my life. Like I remember the first backflip being thrown and or front flip being thrown and like, oh my God, like that is the most insane thing I've ever seen.
And
but
then
But now
hey.
now it's all about training, right? All the contests you're watching are just people that do the same tricks over and over and over.
Yeah, but it's all about consistency. Like you're judging people on consistency, not so much the style anymore, you know, like.
And that was kind of what I was poking at to, with my contest idea, was to try and force the innovation by restricting people's ability to do those, you know, structured kind of contest runs, you know, where
I think a contest like that would actually, I think a lot of riders just wouldn't want to enter, period, because they're like, that's not my strength. Someone like James McGraw does one front wheel trick in a contest run to mix it up, but he said, you know, his back hurts when he rides on the front wheel. That's why he does all the back wheel stuff, so he can stand up straight and not hurt his back. So a lot of people just might not enter.
Not to discount your point, Brett, but he is working on that. He's actually working with Scott Hagness, and he's going to start doing more front wheel tricks. Yes. But I hear what your point is.
Yeah.
So Andy, you know, we just have this guy Hoffman. He's got some leg in the game. Can you kind of bring Matt up to speed about this conversation so that he knows kind of what we're trying to address here?
Yeah, Matt, I think I've heard of you. I might have seen something, you know, in a magazine or something. I don't know. But nice to meet you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Just kidding. So my thing that I brought up for this whole episode was for contests to try and level the playing field for people by imposing restrictions to force them out of their comfort zone. So making like 3 trick maximum lengths. You can't repeat combinations. You have to do 1 front wheel trick at least during your run, at least 1 back wheel trick, at least 1 true scuffing trick, at least, you know, 15 feet of something.
I've already lost.
Yeah. but just something, you know, and maybe we make it a fun contest. So it's not like a real AFA or something really competitive, just something like a fun jam that we force these contest restrictions on.
You got to knock yourself out by the 4th wall.
Yeah.
I'm really good at that.
Yeah.
Well, we know who's going to take that cake there, Matt. So, can I add my idea, Andy? Because I saw when you posted this, I just think it's great, because the reason why Joe and I are doing this is because we want to get people together. We want to share stories. We want to hopefully make people laugh, and then also maybe find out if there's ways that we can help and support them in their goals and wishes and dreams. So when I read that, I really appreciate it, and thank you. And I encourage anyone that's listening to this, put a comment on our channel, because we do want to take it on and see what we can do with it. So I had an idea for a contest, which was basically, it's called the 43 Up. So it's anybody that's over 43 years of age. You can do any 3 tricks. It's 43 seconds. And then you add a clip from something back in the day. It could be a picture of somebody, or it could be Volker doing that big fly out and grabbing his bike. Like if that was something that was really inspiring to you, you include that. And you're judged on your courageousness, your the originality and the history of the trick that maybe you're doing. And then the final one was the gap of time that you stopped riding. So you said you're 40 now. And how many years ago was it that you stopped riding?
28 maybe.
All right, so that would be a fair amount, you know, as far as rating. Okay, that's great that he's coming back in the game. And again, it's kind of a fun, like Joe and I do these fun contests. It's not about trying to get the trophy or the big prize money. It's just about putting yourself out there. And maybe we'll even get Aaron to enter if we have that kind of format.
Yeah.
I'll win the 44 and over female category.
Exactly.
50. I joined the 50 club.
Yeah. Well, I think you still have some tricks in you, Matt. I've seen some of your stuff, some of your flat stuff.
Hit by this car. I was. I mean, that day, right before I got in the car, I did a no hand 540. You know, I had this whole little session I had, and then I got in the car, and then I don't really remember much since then. But they put me in the hospital for like 3 months or something, I guess. My brain was bleeding, and so I'm kind of like. I'm really lucky that I'm really good with concussions, because this has put me in like the perma-concussion mode or whatever, to where I have a concussion for about 6 to 8 months, they said. But yeah, so I don't even know what I was talking about anyway. But yeah.
Well, we're so glad you're here, Matt.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. No, I catch myself complaining like I am right now, but then I just realize how lucky I am that it didn't kill myself and my wife, and we were going to have our kids in the back seats, and they would have been, I mean, the seats totally broke over and stuff. So really, as I complain, I realistically am very lucky.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to hear you, because you know, I know you've been having a rough time, and you know, I was riding the skate park this morning with some friends, and they were all stoked because they were like, man, you know, you're riding Hoffman Super Forks. And I was like, yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
And
yeah,
you know,
it's funny because it's like, I mean, I'm an active base jumper. I probably jumped 10 times in the month before I got hurt and I got hit, you know. And then I ride bikes, you know, I do all the things that I do. And the thing that almost takes me out is the thing that everybody does, just drive the car. I'm like, what? I gotta stop doing safe stuff, man. I gotta keep doing dangerous things. The safe stuff is gnarly.
Well, that's like riding the trails and then dying when a stick goes in your spokes, kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Matt. Hey, Matt, stick to the 30-foot airs. That's what safe shit is. Stick to the 30-foot airs on a 30-foot quarter bike and Uber. Yeah, and Uber in.
Yeah. I know. I mean, it was like, right before I got in the car, I mean, I hadn't done a flare in a while. I was like, I better just do one, you know. So I did one, and it worked out. And then, you know, I did, you know, pretty, you know, I'm pretty dialed with no hand 540s, but I did one just because they're fun, and that landed fine. And then, I mean, all the thing, I go back to my session before, that should have taken me out. And then the thing that really took me out is just, I don't even remember what we were doing, but we're driving someplace.
You know, Matt, you and Normal just don't work well together. Just stay away from Normal.
No, that shit's dangerous, man. You guys people are crazy that do normal shit.
Hey, Matt, can you talk a little bit about, I mean, Ray and I had this conversation last night, and we were talking about this today's show. And well, Ray, you set it up. I don't want to take your thunder. You talked about how Matt basically created what he needed to create so that he could ride. So talk a little bit about that.
What are you talking about?
Oh my gosh.
Hey, Ray. Wait, okay. My thing's not big enough. I
don't know. I seriously don't. What do you? This is classic Dave Norrie, by the way, Matt. Like whatever he just said makes no sense. What do you want me to say?
You just said you just told.
So that was cool.
Ray, last night you said that Matt, we're talking about the format of today's show, and then we had who's this?
Joe did the laugh.
And you said Matt was like the superstar of BMX, and there was no contest series, so he created his own. And I'm just trying to make that point.
Okay.
Now you remember. I'm trying to make that point to Andy, because Andy's the only paying customer on here. We want to make sure he gets his 40
I apologize. I needed a little more info there.
There, Ray.
Okay. All right, Matt. I got it now. Here's what I was telling Dave. This was my view of what was going on back in like the early 90s. growing up, going to all these contests and seeing all the riders, and it was like the AFA and Two Hip and all this. The AFA and Two Hip kind of all went away at the same time. And then we were like, okay, it's riding is gone. What's the next thing? We'll get a mountain bike. We'll go out and we'll start drinking beer with our friends. We'll do something else. Like, but Matt was like this, and now this is just my own perspective, if that's the right word to say here. I looked at it as like looking at it as Matt Hoffman. I would say Matt was sitting around going, wait a minute. I love doing what I do. I love riding my bike. And I'm like one of the best dudes out there. I'm like basically the greatest ramp rider in the world. And now I have nobody can see what I do. Like, this is ridiculous. So, you know, he builds some ramps and all this stuff. And he just said, hey, look, I'm going to just create my own world of freestyle again. Like they did like back, 10 years before me. I'm going to start making bikes. I'm going to start having contests. And I think Maurice Meyer said it in Joe Kidd on a Stingray. He goes, Matt took the sport when it was dead, laying on the ground, lifeless, and he brought it back and saved freestyle. Like he really did. Like he saved it. He totally saved it. And that's, if people could get that, when people look at like, oh, well, I want to start having a contest, or I want to do this, or I want to do that, but it's too hard, or there's not enough interest. Matt got something where even the people that were interested in it weren't interested in it anymore because they felt it was gone. And he took something that was gone and started it up again. I don't know how he did it, but he did it. So, I mean, it's crazy. Matt is quite an individual, aren't you, Matt?
Well, thanks, man. You are too. And but then I realized it was a lot easier just building a backyard ramp and not communicating with anybody. So then that's what I did after that.
Yeah.
But I've said the same thing about Hoffman bikes. It's just the bikes weren't worth riding at that point. They were just dangerous. So Matt's like, I want to keep riding. There's no more bikes that will last, so I'm going to build them myself. There's no more contests. I'm going to do it myself.
About the Super Forks too, but the whole reason, the reason why I made my own bike, and especially the Super Forks, is because all our friends were starting to break forks and break their necks, and it was just like, and what I wanted to do is, I had this vision of like, I was riding a 6-foot ramp, and when in the beginning I could get 6 foot, maybe push 8, and then I made an 8-foot ramp, and I could get 8, maybe push 10, and then I kept seeing it evolve like that as I was riding. I was like, man, why don't I just build a 20-foot ramp and go 20 something feet above it or whatever? And so then I was like, oh, that's what I'm gonna do. And so, but then I started looking at my bike, and I started realizing that it was a death weapon. I was like, I can't ride the bikes because they just don't, it'll kill me or whatever. So that's what inspired me to make Hoffman bikes and make the Super Fork, is just to keep myself alive and progress as I wanted to progress and do big airs or whatever. But yeah, so really it's just all selfish. I just didn't want to die.
Yeah, someone else has joined the conversation, so I just want to make sure that we welcome as more people join in. So Chris, thank you for taking some time and joining us. You know that you are on mute, so we can't hear you, but maybe Aaron, you can give Chris kind of an update on what we're talking about.
They're discussing inclusivity in BMX.
Cool. How do we get to that to Super Forks?
Super Forks.
This is back to freestyle.
Exactly.
It's nice to see you, China.
Yeah, good to see you guys.
Yeah.
Like and just that we all just wanted to look down from about 40 to 50 feet up and not think we're going to die.
Yeah, well, mission accomplished.
Yeah.
You did a good job.
and then I just started. Then I got a wingsuit, and I just started base jumping and started just skydiving, and realized the ground is even further away, and so you can make a lot more mistakes before you hit it.
I just realized something just thinking about Matt for a few minutes here. I am the exact opposite of Matt Hoffman. And I'm not even saying that to be funny. I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, when freestyle was dead, I was just like, all right, cool, it's gone. And then like Matt like taking all these risks and wanting to go higher, I'm like, I have no desire to, like, the furthest I'll go is my backyard for like a fire pit tonight. That's like, to me, that's crazy camping, jumping out of a plane or base jumping. Like I'm absolutely the opposite of Matt Hoffman. It's crazy.
Hey Ray, why don't you share with Matt your idea about the watch that you're wearing today?
Oh yeah, I was just saying earlier that so this was that's the watch that Matt was wearing when he did the 900. We've talked about it numerous times. And then this is actually Kevin Martin's watch that he was wearing. This was his Pops watch back in the day. So I think I'm gonna get the watch because I was gonna give it to you a long time ago, and you said that you were probably gonna lose it. You were doing the Huck Jam, and I brought it out and I said, Matt, I've had this since the day that you landed that 900. And you're like, don't. And you said something very honest. You went, I appreciate it, but I'll probably just lose it at the hotel. If you've had it this long, just keep it. So I said, all right, well, I'll just save it, and then I'll just So Dave and I came up with the idea where we're gonna put it in a safety deposit box because now people want to buy it because they think it's worth a lot of money. So I'm gonna put it in a safety deposit box someday, and I'm gonna give your daughter the key, and then someday, someday, you know, maybe like. No, she won't lose it. We'll make her wear it around her neck like they did in Rambo. Does she lose a lot of stuff too? Maybe I don't know.
She's smart. They just inherited my wife's genes or whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, she actually she was supposed to be home right now because she's coming home from college, but then she overslept and missed her flight, so she had to get another flight. So yeah, maybe she is a lot like me.
It sounds it. That's something you would do, you know. I remember one time we went somewhere and you bought all this stuff. You were at the King of Prussia Mall, and you bought all this stuff, and we walked out, and somebody went, "Excuse me, sir," and like the people we were with that you were on tour with, they just all turned around and went, "Matt left his wallet there again." I'm like, "How do you know?" He does it every time he buys something. So they knew what was happening before because they're like, he loses his wallet every night when we go somewhere.
Oh, it's fine. I wish I had my wallet on me, but I don't have it on me. So I could show you that I now I just have this clip that I use as a wallet. And so
yeah, it's like, I got one of those. Oh wait, I lost it. Oh wait, no. Here, you have one of these things. You got this thing.
No, that's really.
Oh, Ray.
Oh, tell me no. It's a clip.
Yeah, no, it's sounded like that, but.
Ray, wow, look at that, like, bro.
See? Yeah, look at that. That's because we're on the plywood hoods now.
I think we found our new sponsor. We need to get that as a sponsor for our show.
Okay.
Joe, can you get on that?
Yes.
All right, Dave Volker, how are you doing over there? You're camping. You're enjoying the life. Are you enjoying this conversation? What else can you add to this?
Oh, man, where do you go? I'm very happy that Matt's with us. That's amazing. Feel fortunate, you know.
That's
Dave Volker.
55.
He's 55.
Yeah.
I'm camping.
Hey, you think so we're already in the desert right now? So I made it to the desert.
No, it was too windy, so we just came to a campground.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm sure all those people are enjoying you.
My friend already rented a motorhome, and it was like, well, you can't return it, so we decided to just go to a campground because it was 45-mile-per-hour winds at the desert.
Couldn't you guys just find a jump for the motorhome?
A jump?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
If Matt was with you, that's what would have happened.
The Lord.
Did you hear Matt's response when you said that you couldn't make it because the winds were too high? It was, oh, I totally would have been there, basically.
Yeah, you don't care.
Yeah.
I have a question for everybody. Is everyone on gallery mode? Can they see all the other people? Or Matt, can you only see the people that's talking? Slide it over.
I see 1, 2, 3, 4. I see. Let's see here. I see from me to Aaron, and I have like Joe and you, but then I think I need it to be wider to see the other.
Yeah,
people.
yeah. Make it wider so you might be able to see everybody.
But I don't see Ray or Chris or Dave, but I see everybody.
But I've got little dots on the bottom of the phone, and when I scroll to the next dot, I see different people.
Oh, because you're on a phone. Matt's on a computer, though.
Matt, in the upper right corner, if you put your mouse there you go.
So actually do the thing called view and put gallery view. Well, looky at us. Hey,
there we are. Okay.
We got a Brady Bunch.
Welcome.
Now.
It's a party. Yeah. Wow. So, Chris, is there anything that you want to add to this conversation? I know it's been a while since we've chatted, and thank you for joining. Gosh, it's such an honor. I know
you
you've
look
been
exactly the same, Dave.
What's that?
I know every time that I have heard somebody run into you, they say it looks exactly the same, but you do. You look exactly the same. So.
I know, Dave. You turned 55, but you're still doing that Volker fly out in our minds.
Nice. Oh no.
He's gone.
Dave.
He had to go
2 days on the call. I think Matt got confused, but I think you were talking about me, or were you talking about Volker?
I was talking about Volker.
Okay, and I think Chris might have been talking.
2 days. I'm sorry, with Volker and Nuri. You know, I didn't never call you guys Dave, so I got confused for a minute.
I prefer Lord.
He's back.
Lord or Perenne.
Lord Perenne.
Lord
Perenne. Piranha.
Yeah, and I don't think I've talked to Dave in 30 years. It's been a long time.
That'd been when he was 30 years old or 35 years old. He just had his 55th birthday a few days ago.
Yep.
Happy birthday to you.
On the third.
Double nickel.
Yeah.
Chris, did you and Volker do shows together? Quite a bit?
We did a few shows together, not too many. Just where they had the drive-up ramps, you park them at the end of a parking lot.
So one of the questions that we were asking is the feeling of being nervous when you don't quite feel included in a group or a contest or a jam. Right. And I can imagine for you, I don't know, I guess I'm curious, how was that for you coming into the scene?
Well, I rode for like a year before I knew that I was one of the, few females in the sport. So like my whole, people that I rode with, like, we just thought everybody, hi, Matt, how are you?
I'm sorry, I'm kind of slow. I'm a little, but I just kind of all came together.
We'll be here for you when you get here.
We're here for you, Matt. We're here for you, Matt.
Don't worry.
Okay, continue, Chris. Yeah, continue.
Yeah, like I really didn't know. I was in like the New York Masters, where I think, Matt, it was one of your first nationals too, in Long Island, and like, and I was like 14 or 15. Like, I know that was the class I rode, and like I had zero idea. I just rode with a bunch of kids from, Northeastern Ohio, and we just thought, we had no reason to think that girls didn't do it. There was no reason for it. And the more I got involved at the sport, the more it became kind of this like, oh, it's a girl. And then, and then it was the 80s, and, there was that whole California look they were going for. And so they, there was some capitalization on that. And I was virtually clueless. I was just having a good time until you guys got out of pocket there for a bit. I had to leave.
You guys got fucked straight.
Yeah, you're at that Madison Square. You're at the Madison Square Garden contest.
I was at Madison Square Garden, but I think it was Madison Square Garden. Now that I'm thinking about it, yeah.
What's that?
I think it was Madison Square Garden. I don't know. Probably Brett knows more than I do. Or if you could get Todd Carter, he seems to remember everything.
Hey, Joe, can you call Todd?
Yes.
He knows like any history. You can ask him and he'll be like, oh yes, 5:45. We did this. And then we pulled out and we bought spearmint gum at the Circle K. And
at that contest that I'm thinking of, I remember Todd Anderson doing his rad, like one hand, one footer, and it almost looked inverted, but then he slammed, he knocked himself out. Is that?
I just remember you, because I think like you came out of nowhere at that point.
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody ride like that before.
Yeah, I was kind of a, man, I'm trying to remember what I did, but yeah, that was cool. I mean, it's just like, it was the first time we got to meet all the superheroes, you know? That was pretty cool.
Yeah. But no, nobody even brought it up to me that I was a girl until like, you know, even other riders didn't really make that big a deal of it until like sponsorship stuff happened and like shows and stuff. And then it became a thing. But, and, you know, and that was, I understood it, but it was not necessary. And it probably created more division than it needed to. And it certainly didn't make it any easier for other girls to get in right then. I mean, if you think about it, there was really only like 4 or 5 of us that rode back then. And it was like the 90s before, you know, all through the 80s, there was just a handful of girls. And, you know, when I would talk with girls who would get on my bike and try something, there was always reasons. I remember there was very clear reasons why they couldn't do any more than, you know, hop on the front pegs.
I don't know. That's weird because people always, you know, they asked about you and I said, I don't know. She was just another rider to me. It didn't matter her gender. I didn't think of that. She was just a friend that rides bikes. And I'm like everybody here, we're all friends that ride bikes, and that's all it was.
Dave may have more insight to this because the time, like when it started to get kind of weird was when I would do shows and Magoo was the manager. And I think Magoo had been given very clear directives to be very careful around my femaleness. So
Dave, do you remember? Do you have any insight on that, Volker?
Behind the scenes on that.
No, I heard I was there.
You heard you were there.
Yeah, that's look. I'm just thinking of Magoo and having he's just a natural destruction everywhere he goes. So just, I mean, and I don't know. I couldn't imagine him being proper around a woman rider.
No, he was very, very proper, made sure she had her own room, was taken care of, you know, like a father figure. It was really cool. I do remember a little bit.
Yeah. If you wanted to see Magoo on his best behavior, but if you guys know anything about me like that, I didn't need best behavior.
You were as crazy as anybody else.
I think I may have superseded some of you in my.
Well, you know, I remember, you know, it was it 1988, 89 at the woodward contest when we basically, you know, started a riot together because, you know, with a boom box, and then you started dancing, and then everybody, 200 people at Woodward blew up the place.
Yeah.
So,
good times.
It was fun. Good times.
They let us back though.
Yeah.
For anybody that's tuning into the podcast right now, can we just pretend that I'm like some famous guy that you guys all know? And I've been around the scene for many, many years. And they all know who I am.
You don't have to pretend, Andy.
No, Andy, you can be James McGraw.
Okay.
Be James McGraw.
I'll
hey,
be
Chris,
myself,
it's Todd Carter.
But leave everybody questioning, like, who is it? Like Andy, what is he from? Like, when was he riding?
Yes,
that's up to you, Andy. You got to make it. I mean, you got the platform, so now it's all you.
Yeah. No, we just Todd, pretend that I'm somebody. Yeah, I've been around for like the 80s, like, you know.
Well, hold on a second. You did ride. So you rode back. When did you start riding?
Like, so I don't even remember learning how to ride a bike I was so young. I taught myself how to ride a standard bike with no training wheels in the park across the street from my parents' house by borrowing my neighbor's bike. So I just taught myself, and I've always just been riding. So doing flatland tricks, probably 88, maybe.
Nice.
So, and
what
like
did you ride? What bike did you have?
So back in the 80s, like this is kind of what got me into flatland, is Eddie Fiola's VHS of King of the Skate Parks. And that was like my introduction to flatland and ramp riding and all that stuff. I was riding a Schwinn Predator at the time. And then in 93, I got my brand new GT Performer because of Fiola. I wanted to be like him. And yeah, I rode for, quite a few years after that. But, back then in the 90s, there's no YouTube. The scene around where I live is very small, very spread out. So all my friends started skateboarding. So I just kind of migrated to skateboarding, but I've always had like a love. I've always, I kept my bike. I always rode occasionally. And then when the pandemic hit, I just kind of went sideways with it, and it's like, yeah, I'm old, but I just leaned into it and wanted to see how good I could get. And it's kind of where I'm at right now.
What did you see? What like piece of content or what idea did you have that triggered you to say, I'm going to get a bike?
It was probably the movie Rad. I would like.
What about the second time?
The second, to get back into it?
To get back into it.
So that started because a friend of mine was refurbishing old bikes and like old school, GTs and dynos and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh yeah, man, I still got mine in my parents' house. And then at that time it was hanging in the garage. It started to get a little surface rust. He's like, dude, give it to me. I'll go through it. I'm like, sweet. So I brought it over to him. Like tires were all flat, surface rust, bearings were all seized up, and he went through it and cleaned it up, and it looks amazing now.
I got one question for you about that bike.
Yeah.
Because I assume it has a gyro. Does it also have a POTS mod?
It does have a POTS mod.
What was your first trick that you did once you got it all dialed? Like, what was the first trick?
When I was a kid or back?
No. After you got the bike, yeah.
Oh, back, yeah. So the first trick, I had never landed it before. It was just a foot jam tail whip. Literally the first thing, I met up with Matt, the guy that sold it to my parents back in the day. And we were riding at a skate park, and I kind of, rode around a little bit. And I'm like, oh, let me try this. And spun my first tail whip and rolled out of it the first time ever. Like literally first attempt after 20 some years back riding a bike. And I landed it for the first time. And I was like, okay, I'm doing this now.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What's your favorite piece behind you in that cabinet?
Good question, Ray.
This is my wife's office, so I don't really know what's all in that.
Well, just if you had to pick something, come on. What is in there? What are you collecting, or what is she collecting? Family heirlooms?
It's family pictures. The Harry Potter books right there.
What's the yellow
from
ball?
Wimbledon?
That's okay.
Yeah, not like a real one. Obviously, it's a little bit larger. It's a novelty one.
All right, I was just checking because Joe likes Star Wars figures. Top?
Oh, I do love Star Wars figures.
No, like if I was in the basement, I have a pretty epic Lego Star Wars collection, and I have my bikes hanging up, but I just didn't have like a good space to do this in down
Let's see the bikes. Can you show us the bikes?
You know what, Andy? I'm realizing something. You're worried about like going up and talking to people and stuff. Just this little bit we've been with you here, you're just like everybody else.
I know.
We're all the same. Seriously.
Yeah.
It's weird. So I mean, it's not weird, but
that's what I wanted to point out earlier. I was going to say something is like, I like when somebody comes up to me and we're just friends because we both ride BMX and nobody's better than anybody. We're just part of a family. And if you treat people like that you're nervous to be around, they're going to be comfortable with you and talk to you more. If you're just like not asking them certain questions, but just treating them like a real human, we're all the same.
The Lord speaketh.
Lord, speak it.
Matt's in church. Matt's in church all of a sudden now. Amen.
Hey, I just want to welcome someone else. Actually, two more people. So Todd, welcome and thank you for joining. We've kind of just been adding people as we go. I think you kind of have an idea of what we're talking about. Just kind of inclusiveness, contests, jams, how one would feel when they first go to a place and it's kind of nerve-wracking. Do you have a quick story that you know, how that played out for you when you first started riding? Or maybe it was last week, I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, you know, I think that for me, I can't really think of an exception. Most times that I've ever been to a contest or a jam, it was a place where I did feel welcome. You know, whereas, you know, there are a lot of times like at school or, you know, any other kind of a social setting, that was not the case. So I think that's an additional mark for BMX for me, is a place that I immediately did feel like, you know, these are people that I can relate to, and that I, you know, a place where I do belong. So it's, for me, over the, you know, however long it's been, 30 plus years, it definitely has been that. I cannot think of an exception to that. So.
And that's a great point. And like, look at who's on this call. It's a Saturday and people have taken time, because there's something that we all share that we have for many years. And again, I want to thank everyone for, Joe and I have been doing this now for a little over a year, and it's just become epic. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it, Joe. Maybe you have better words than I do, but
Wait, you didn't give everybody $100? Or it was just me?
Oh, Ray, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Joe, I thought you said.
Look, all right, fine. I got you covered.
Dang.
I got you covered.
I just wanted to see him bring the cash out. Yeah, there it is.
You guys are
okay,
getting paid?
I want to make sure we welcome Paula. Thank you for coming, Paula. I just sent you something today, and again, you made it. I thought it'd be good. You can talk a little bit about the Flatland contest that you're going to be putting on, and just to keep everybody up to speed, and how that also is going to be all inclusive, you know, in the scene.
In circles.
Yeah, so hey, I have the schedule here for how the loosely based outline schedule of our Flat Queens contest. If you wanted to go over that.
Yeah, sure.
So we have a bit of a change this year. So last year we did it that you could edit your round clip. I found, however, during the AFA contest that I really like that they were pushing you to do like a real contest non-cut clip. And I found that really pushed me to be more consistent and actually really helped my riding. And so because we're getting back now more to live contest, I said that we should have our first round be an uncut clip of, I think it's 1:45 for round one.
You should make it 1:43.
Of course, 1:43.
Oh,
I'm just saying,
yeah,
with a best trick at the end.
With the best trick at the end, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to be opening registration sometime in May, and then round one will be due like mid-June, perhaps.
Okay.
And then so last time we didn't expect to have the turnout that we did to receive all those clips. It was pretty crazy to have like judge those clips and take the time for each rider to make sure you do your job properly. So it took a really long time.
How many last year? How many was it last year? Like 30?
We had 47 altogether that registered. Yeah.
Wow. And that's all over the world, right?
All over the world. Yeah. We didn't keep track of all the different countries, but it was just like huge representation from all over the world. It was amazing. So I'm hoping for even better this year. So this time we're giving ourselves until beginning of September for round two. So a good 2 solid months between round one and round two, but a bit better planned out this time, I think.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you for doing that, Paula.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure, or was it passion of pleasure? Is that what they call it?
It's a lot of work, but it's worth it.
Yeah, sure. And then so I believe with Rec Bikes are helping sponsor this. So we're going to have the winner of the pro contest be flown out to Battle in the Rockies to be at that contest live.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's
and have you
cool.
decided, because I know you got some cash prizes as well. Have you decided how you're going to break that down? Are you gonna...
Not quite yet.
Okay.
No, we haven't figured that stuff out yet. We have to really think about that, make sure we make good decisions on that too.
Excellent. Yeah. I think it's great. I think it's really good that you're doing it, and anything more. I'm working on the shirts. I know that you asked about the shirts, and we're gonna try to get that going here quickly so we can start.
That's awesome. I was just thinking, like, because Rec's doing so much for this contest, I want to be able to, like, like what you're doing last time, like doing the big Rec, showing your shirt and the logo and having it go everywhere. And I thought it'd be so cool to have like Flat Queens wearing Rec shirts. I thought that'd be so awesome. So yeah, I'm really stoked on if that happens.
Cool. Awesome. All right, Joe. What do you think about today's show so far? Oh my gosh, how did this all come to be?
I'm super stoked on the show. It's super dope.
Yeah, Joe. Talk about Stoke right now? We haven't talked about Stoke very much in this episode.
I know we really didn't cover much ground. I mean, gosh.
So earlier today, I was elaborating. For those of you who don't know, I have decided to structure a religion based on the Stoke, and I've put together some practices and some mnemonics, and so I'll be doing die cut frog bars, stickers.
You don't have to pay taxes.
And
that's a perfect idea.
It is. So Dave is going to create a church, and I am going to be the Church of Stoke.
Oh no, okay, that's even better.
So then I will.
Does Crandall already have that church?
Who?
Crandall?
No, they're the Lords of Fun.
Okay, they can have the Lord of Fun. That's fine. We'll have the Stoke.
So he'll have the Church of Stoke. He's structuring that, and my plan is to do the design work and the marketing promotion for it, so that Dave can invoice me so that I can get tax donations or whatever that I fail to register. And my hope is that I'll get a knock on the door with a letter from the IRS that I can frame about these undeclared donations.
Wait, I think Matt has a story about that. Matt, don't you have a story about that? Do you remember something about that happening where the IRS knocked on your door one time? Matt's frozen.
Yep.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we all froze, but I was trying to figure out what I did. All right. Am I back? Or wait?
Yeah, we're back.
All right. I'm really just trying to fine tune my skills on this this program thing we're on, but I'm kind of failing because you can't. How do you get everybody on the same screen? I mean, I went up here to view and did the view thing, but I still have two screens. I got to go back and forth.
Make the window bigger, Matt. Make, like, you know how you drag it.
Yeah, I tried to do that, but I'm as big as I can go. But now that wait, I think there's only 6. There's 9 of us now, right?
I don't know.
10 altogether.
There's 10 now. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just missing one. Who am I missing?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Just I'm just not as tech savvy as I hoped I was.
Nobody is.
I was thinking, Matt, you might share that story about when the IRS knocked on your door at one point back in the 90s or something.
Wait, me?
Yeah, that Matt. Yeah.
You're the only Matt there.
Wait, really? IRS was knocking on my door?
They're knocking now. They're at the door right now, Matt.
Okay, I'll tell the story for you, Matt. And
okay, yeah, because I don't. Maybe I might not want to know this story, but go ahead.
I just remember Matt saying that at one point when he was doing the Sprocket Jockey and he had the big half pipe on the semi truck, traveling all over, and you're doing fairs, and you basically were paying riders and you're making money, and you never paid your taxes, and they came knocking on your door.
Oh, I totally forgot about that. I was paying taxes, but I didn't understand the whole payroll tax thing.
Oh, right. Okay.
They got serious with bills with payroll tax. I couldn't believe it. It was like the bill was bigger than my payroll.
Yeah, exactly. So Joe, we do want to make sure that we take care of our taxes because they will come knocking.
Right. But I'm trying to reverse it, like undeclared donations. It's a long shot, but you know how I wanted to get the Bob Haro cease and desist letter framed?
Right.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Hey Joe, what's that? Yeah. What's that cool sweatshirt you got on?
Rookie 43, bro. That's right.
Welcome to the Hoods.
My homie, my homie Joe, Ray presented it to me.
At the end of this, like it can be after everybody leaves, but I need to talk to you about. I have a problem with something Dave did 2 weeks ago where I'm really upset with him, and I need you to help me figure out how I should handle this emotionally.
Here's how I think we should do. We should talk about it right now because this is.
We could talk about it now, and
we have a trust. It's a trust tree.
We could get everybody's input. I just didn't want to. I didn't want to take over the show because Dave's got to keep his feet on the ground, and he tells me that I steal the show a lot. Like I take over the show, which I feel like I'm doing now, but I don't want to do that because I don't want people to be upset.
Ray, what's important to me is that you're taken care of, Ray. So we're going to have to do this now.
Is everybody okay with this? Is everybody okay with this if we talk about a problem I have with Dave? If a personal problem, I see
some heads nodding.
People are okay. Maybe everybody's life experience can help with this situation.
Does it have anything to do with inclusiveness or, building your self-esteem so that you can put yourself out there? Because that's kind of the theme of the show.
I don't know. I don't know what any of that means, but
Ray doesn't have shyness problems.
No, not at all. No, it's more of like a thing. Maybe Brett will think of a big word I can use here. That's what he helps me with a lot. Like I was involved in the biggest moment of my life, and Dave happened to be there, and he just kind of looked the other way. He seemed like he wasn't feeling the excitement that I was, and I want to know why. Because I feel that anybody else would have been like, no way, and he just
Ray, take us back to that. So you're at Changa. I know.
We're at Changa. It was a big weekend, very emotional for a lot of us, especially Joe.
Very emotional.
All the plywood hoods that were there were really excited to make Joe a part of being a plywood hood. And so I always had this big, and I don't know if it's a joke or I think really deep down inside, I really think I am. But I always had this thing where I was a plywood hood because I met these guys in the very beginning, and I watched them go from the Amish kids from York to being on the cover of Freestyling magazine. Joe, this isn't about you and the saxophone laugh. Now stop it. Okay. Don't think of the chili bowl haircuts and the collared shirts. These were riders. Okay. So anyway, we had Kevin Jones with us 2 weeks ago, which was a very, very big deal for everybody. And maybe even for Kevin, because Kevin don't get out much. And I love talking about the plywood hoods. And I'm like, I think I'm a plywood hood. I think I can anoint somebody a plywood hood and all that nonsense I always talk. And then we had Kevin right there, who I would consider, one of the greatest plywood hoods. And I said, hey, Kevin, like I kid around a lot and joke about me being a plywood hood. Taking all that away, if you just had to answer this question right now, and he goes, yes. And I'm like, you didn't hear what I said. And he's like, yes. I'm like, do you even know what I'm going to ask? And he goes, yeah, you're a plywood hood. And he said it with such ease and confidence. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm a plywood hood? And he's like, yeah. And it was just like, and he was like on to the next thing. It like wasn't even a big deal to him. And for me, it was like the sky opened up. I was like, oh my God, wait a minute. All these years, I've I've been a plywood hood. And I said, well, was it because of the show we did in Rockville? And he goes, yeah. He goes, you did that show. And he goes, I wasn't even there, if you remember. And I didn't remember that he wasn't there. He goes, you were filling in for me. So if you're a flatland rider and Kevin Jones tells you at the biggest contest or the biggest show of the year, you had to fill in for me because I wasn't going to be there. I didn't even realize that. So I became a plywood hood in 1989 and didn't even know it. I mean, this is like the movie Rudy, who, of course, Dave didn't see. And maybe that's why this happened. But while all this was going down, Dave was standing right next to me. And I was like almost in tears. I was so excited. And Dave's looking at me and I'm like, can you believe this? And he's like, hey, does anybody need a coconut water? Or we got some oranges over there. And I'm like, what? I'm like, did you just hear what he said? And he's like, what? I mean, we got cookies if you guys, where are you guys going? He just like, he didn't even care. He didn't even care. He was just like, this is just some shenanigans Ray's talking about. And let's go on. Let me go practice some tricks and I'll try not to touch. Like, that's all he cared about. It was unbelievable. And I want to know, was it me and the moment wasn't that big, or was Dave just being inconsiderate of one of his friends? That's my question.
Are you posing that question to the panel? Because I
don't know if everyone fell asleep. Is Matt still there? Dave Volker, is he still there?
Yeah, I think
Rennie would be able to tell me what the deal is. He seems like he would know exactly what the deal is. So anybody? I mean,
Dave screwed you over. He should have been happy for his friend, and I think you need to apologize to Ray. That was a big moment, and you're just like, "Where's the cheeseburger? I don't give a shit."
Yeah.
And what the fuck? You know?
Blew it off like it was nothing.
Come on, man! Like,
and like Dave Volker was going to not enter a contest so I could get the first overall, and here I'm going to be I'm now a plywood hood, and Dave's handing out lukewarm coconut waters to people that don't even want them.
Well, Ray, yeah, I think that just goes to show that Dave Norrie will never be on Ramp Up the John. He will never be on Ramp Up the John.
Man, there may be less members of Ramp Up the John than plywood hoods these days if you're letting people like Joe and me on, you know.
Okay, anyone else? You know, because I do want to speak because I feel like, you know, I need to resolve.
You just wait your turn.
Okay, I'll wait my turn. Todd, I think Todd might have something to say, or Paula.
Todd, help me out here, Todd. You were like kind of there. You felt the vibe of that weekend. You know, it was a big deal.
I would say that Ray, it's a huge deal. I would say that in Dave's mind, I'll try to speak for Dave. He probably also has considered you a plywood hood since 1989. So for him, it was it was something that he was kind of like, Kevin. Yeah, you've been a hood. You know, this is only news to you.
Are you a lawyer? That is a great goddamn answer. That just kind of fixed it almost. This is bullshit. I wanted to pound Dave into the ground, and here you kind of made it. Let's hear what other people have to say.
Anybody else?
That was too good.
Aaron or Matt, you have anything to share?
Matt's going to ask what a plywood hood is.
I can do an Indo.
You can do an Indo.
I can stick the seat in my mouth.
Ice money.
The Robert Peterson.
Robert Peterson.
Yeah.
That doesn't make you a hood.
Matt's trying to say that my riding isn't serious enough to be on the plywood hoods. That's horrible, Matt. I am offended. I challenge you to a high air contest. Me and you.
No, but you were from that. I mean, you were from that community. You're from that world. So yeah, I would have.
Yeah, I scared him into it. I scared Matt into it. I threatened to out air him, and he just immediately turned it and said, "Look, man, you're a plywood hood." I'm gonna. What was that?
Okay, how about Aaron? I think you wanted to share something, Aaron. You have a perspective on this.
I don't know. I guess it reiterates the point that everybody wants to feel included and share their successes.
Exactly.
So, I mean, personally, I think it's awesome regardless like who you ride with and that you're included in a group, even as much as how much you idolize that group. I don't know. I always liked riding with people. I identified more with the Lancaster crew because we were a little bit more rough and ready than the York crew.
Oh. Who can get more Amish is what you're trying to say.
We did. We threw down in Millersville. So.
Oh yeah.
But
okay, how about Andy or Chris? Do you have any insight on this situation? Because this is obviously a big deal.
What hood has a better beer? That's what I want to know.
I'm curious what, you know, I mean, Ray's a pretty big personality, and you know, he's an intimidating presence in person and on Zoom.
I'm not intimidating at all.
You have intimidating is not the right word. How about a commanding presence?
There you go.
Yeah, intimidating makes certainly make it impact
somebody up.
And I don't. The only person I think I was ever intimidated around was Mike Dominguez, and that's because I had a 7th grade crush on him. But
who didn't?
When I know, man, that wavy blonde hair back in the day. But Ray, you had a presence, and I remember being around you and being like, "Oh, I gotta be careful around this guy because you know, like this guy can do some damage." And but I think like you may have had, you know, you may not have seen the inclusion that you had in that scene back then. Like you,
I may not have realized it back then.
Yeah, you were just a part of it. Like I don't think probably. I think you probably didn't feel a part of groups that you were absolutely intrinsically a part of. So
good point.
I mean, and so maybe 2 weeks ago, or was it 2 weeks ago, or was it last week?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so 2 weeks ago, you may have had a revelation of, holy crap, you know, like they see me as a part of, when you know that was just coming to you. That's how they always viewed it.
Yeah.
Andy, I have told Erin she's a plywood hood because she was in the parking lot with us for countless hours back in the day. She's just one of the gang. So Erin is a plywood hood as far as I'm concerned.
Let's see what Dave's reaction is. He probably fell asleep.
Volker?
Hello, Dave Norrie, the guy that...
I'm just trying to give everybody a chance. Hold on, Ray. Andy, did you have something to say? Jeez.
Yeah, I think Todd had it pretty well nailed. I don't think it was a malicious thing. I think it was just kind of a, you know, of course you're in. But, you know, to Ray's point, it was that validation. And I think anybody that, you know, because I'm on a call right now with guys that I absolutely look up to as like heroes. And this is just absolutely crazy to me that this is happening right now. And I just want to say that I have goosebumps even just talking about it. And, you know, having that validation of like acceptance is all of a sudden like this cathartic like thing where it's like, oh my gosh, like it's true. Like everything that you've hoped for is finally coming to fruition. And, you know, so it meant different things to you, Ray, as it did to Dave, because Dave saw it as, you know, he already knew the validation was there, where you finally saw the validation. And so the reactions were different.
You don't think his mind was on handing out lukewarm coconut waters to people?
Well, I think that was the side effect of him kind of being ho-hum about it. But
maybe Dave had a lot going on. You know, maybe Dave was thinking like, wow, all these people are here. Okay, Ray just became a plywood hood. We didn't even, who cares? Let's see, we got to carry all my stuff back down the steps. There's one guy here that recognized me.
Did Dave feel like he was in a, and this is a question to Dave, does Dave feel like he was in a producer role 2 weeks ago? That you were kind of carrying
He's
the flow
always
of
the producer.
Yeah, because that I'm getting a little bit of that vibe. And I haven't seen Dave in forever, but you know, I could see that probably he's like, all right, next, now that happened, now we're on to the next scene.
Yeah. Paula, we haven't heard from you. Did you have something that you wanted to share?
I was kind of thinking the same thing as Todd and Chris, and I think Andy added some good points there as well. That like it's kind of when you like Ray's probably been part of. I'm not too familiar with the Plywoods and stuff. I know of it, but I don't know all the history and all the people involved and everything. So I'm kind of an outsider on this one. But just it seems to me like you guys always considered Ray as part of the Plywoods, and so like when it was news to him, it was old news to you guys. So it was really hard to have matching expressions when you're on different levels. And so I kind of agree too with Annie that like Dave should have expressed more like empathy, I guess, like put himself in your shoes, how you're feeling, and been happy for you and been like as a friend. So I kind of get that point, but I totally get how like it's old news to you guys because it's been like this forever, right?
Hey, Joe, did you get a lukewarm coconut water during all this?
I did not. And I was somewhere else when this whole thing went down. But guys, Ray
I
was
wish
in
you were
the
there.
parking lot. Ray was in the parking lot and he walks out and he goes, hey, is that Joe? Get over here. And he told me this story and my head exploded in Stoke. And I think I may have taken him by the collar and shaken him. And said, I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah.
How about Volker? Did you have something that you want to share to the situation?
I just can't believe that we're actually talking about it because I always thought Ray was a very good hood.
There you go. That's my man.
Yeah, you've been there the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were the leader.
How many Dorkin videos were you in, Ray? 3 or 4.
I don't know. I know the first Dorkin. Well, Mark Eaton charged me $10 for it, and we were at like a local contest, and he charged me. I was like, "What do you got there?" He goes, "Dude, I got the new Dorkin video." So I was like, "How much are they?" He goes, $10. So I paid it, went home and popped it in, and we're watching it with my friends, and we're like, "This is all my footage. Like all the footage was my footage from like contests and all this stuff." And I'm like, "So wait, I just paid $10 for all that footage I gave him." Like I never even thought like when he said, "Hey, if you have any footage, let me have it." And like I was going to every contest, and I had a video camera. So, you know,
you were the leader.
I was the leader.
Okay, final word, Matt. What do you have to say about this situation? Because I do want you to voice something if you have something to share.
I mean, when it came down to the hoods, there's nobody that I wanted to spoon more than you, Ray.
Matt and I have a lot of spooning photos. Joe, if you want to look them up on like Facebook, Matt and I have spooned now at least twice that we have photos of, and I kind of look forward to the next time I see him, and we'll probably spoon as soon as we see each other.
Yeah,
you know?
So we gotta like one up it, and try to like maybe like try to balance on our noses and spoon. I don't know, try to get some plywood hoodie.
We'll do something, yeah.
Well, Ray, I just want to tell you thank you for bringing this to my attention because I feel like it's important to know these things because you're already laughing and I have to
I'm laughing at that shirt. I'm laughing at your shirt. I'm waiting for you to pull a dove out of it like a magician. Let it out, Joe. Let it out, dude. Come on. Got something on. I've been looking at it all. Like I'm waiting for him to pour a pitcher of milk into a piece of newspaper, then crumble it up and throw it. That shirt is unbelievable.
So reflecting back at that moment.
It's a David Copperfield shirt. Hey, can you walk through that wall, Dave?
No, but I can say something that's really important, Joe. So can I just have my moment?
Oh, now we're getting yelled at. Sorry.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah,
Dave.
So Ray, thank you for sharing, and I am so sorry that I missed that moment. A lot of it was said, and they touched on it with the point that I always thought you were a hood. I thought you and Kevin go way back. So I thought you were kind of just putting on this show for me. And like kind of what Chris was saying, I was in producer mode, and I was like, that was the whole focus of the whole weekend was, you know, the Plywood Hoods. So I thought you were just like adding to it. And I am sincerely sorry. And if there's a situation that happens again, and there's remotely a possibility of you being acknowledged for something in your life that's meaningful, I will absolutely stop. I'll put the coconut water down. I will say
lukewarm coconut water.
The lukewarm coconut water down, and I'll say, Ray, that's amazing. Congratulations. So I'm going to say that now. Congratulations, Ray. You're a Plywood Hood, and I'm really proud of you. And I think everybody on here already knew that, but now we all are right behind you, supporting you.
Congratulations, Ray.
Hey, Joe, do you notice that I just spent the last 15 minutes, Joe, basically just getting everybody to talk about me, because I just, you know, I used that situation to now everyone talked about me, and I got exactly what I wanted. I wanted to be the center of attention, and I just was. And I had to unfortunately use a bad moment between Dave and I. Hey, there's a little kid. Hi, little kid.
So
I did notice that, Ray, and now I would like to maybe talk for another 15 minutes about you, because
I'm down. I have time. If you guys want to talk about me.
I have spent a lot of my life honing my ability to crack jokes and be funny. And one of the seminal joke inspirations was when you were on Gary's Ramp and you talked about that footage from
Chris
Austin with Chris Day. And every time I hear the song Colors,
I am a nightmare walking.
It takes me back. And Ruben posted a clip on Instagram the other day, and it was playing Colors, and I laughed all over again.
Well, I gotta tell you, Joe, as far as jokes go, years ago, George Gallo was doing a comedy show in Philly, and Ray and I went to the bar to see George's comedy show. And George, of course, is running late by about 2.5 hours. Ray ended up leaving early. But Ray and I are sitting at the bar, and the bartender turns to us after about 10 minutes and says, "Are you guys the comedians?"
I remember that. Yeah.
And Ray says, they'll never be as funny as us.
Yeah, Brett and I were killing it. We were sitting there with all these old men, and we were just talking and commenting on everything, just busting. We didn't even know who anybody was, and Brett and I were just busting everybody's balls. And the lady was like, are you the comedians? And we're like, no. We're like, we're way funnier than the comedians that are going to be here.
The best jokes happen at the bar, not on stage.
So Joe, I just want to be the timekeeper here. You know, we're a little bit over, but I want to make sure we're being respectful. So if anyone needs to wrap it up, but I think, is there anything else that you would like to cover for this segment? Because we did cover a lot, and we did cover pretty much.
All right.
Nothing.
Final thing I would like to say is, Dave, I believed that apology, and Ray, I encourage you to accept that apology. That was a good one.
I do. Yes. Yeah. It was spectacular.
Thank goodness.
I would like to say something to Dave Volker, if you're there still.
Yeah, he's there.
Yes.
This morning, I went to a concrete skate park, and there's like a big steep bank. And my buddy's like, hey, do a 360 out of it. And I was actually picturing Dave Volker doing a 360 out of the ditch.
Oh, nice.
So I was like, it was so funny because I was looking at that. And I'm like, I haven't 360'd out of a flat bank in a while. And I thought about you 360. So it's really funny that I get to talk to you today.
That's cool. That's really cool, man. Because I love that ditch memory just because it was like a skate park. We didn't have skate parks. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah. It's cool that you brought that up and you're still doing it. Good for you.
Thanks.
Any scabs on the elbow or anything?
Nope. Nothing touched the ground but my tires today.
Right on.
So let's do a roundtable, and let's start with Ray. Any final words for today?
It was fun seeing everybody. I think you had a great crew today. It's always good to see everybody. It makes me feel like I'm a kid again when you get to see all the people you hung out with when you were a kid. And now Andy is now one of the gang. So Andy, don't be scared. Come to the York Jam this year and hang out.
Welcome, Andy.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, Matt.
Yeah.
Matt, do you have any final words of wisdom?
I'm not sure about this wisdom part, but yeah, no, I'm super psyched to see CFA too. This is pretty amazing. I guess I forget to read my notes, and I wasn't really aware of this when I logged on. I'm like, wait, who are these? Oh my gosh! So yeah, this has been pretty exciting.
Cool. Well, thank you again for coming, and thank you, Ray, for coming.
Yes.
I'm going for a quick bike ride, so I just wanted to tell everybody it's good to see the family, right? We are.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm glad you're going for a bike ride, Dave. That's what you should be doing.
Yeah, but it's cold. My bones hurt.
You'll be fine.
You're still
okay, my friends.
All right. Cheers, Dave.
See you, Dave.
Bye, guys.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, how about you? Thank you again for making the time. Any last words that you want to share?
Any last words? I don't think I have any words of wisdom. It was good to see everybody though, because I haven't seen many of you in a few years, and some of you in many years. So, and hi Paula, hi Aaron. We didn't actually get to talk much. They didn't tell me anybody else was going to be here either. So.
Yeah, I know it was going to be Aaron. That's it.
Yeah, I heard Aaron too. Yeah, I heard.
I hacked in. I wasn't invited at all. I just missed seeing everyone, so I just hacked on.
You're good at that, Paula.
The second
you're supposed to be here.
All right, thank you again, Chris. And Todd, thank you for joining last minute. You were requested because your information on history was brought up. So.
Sure. It's just great to see everyone. And I think I just have one thing. I think, Ray, now that you've officially realized that you're also a plywood hood, that means you pick up the check for dinner at an upcoming.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if we can go to Wawa or 7-Eleven, I'm down.
That means
I only work part-time these days, you know?
Yeah.
And unless I sell this swatch, then I can buy anything you want.
Yeah.
Ray, now you got to get that $10 back from Eaton.
Yeah.
How Eaton won't give me $10 for anything. He still owes us money.
Okay, Paula, how about you?
Just some closing thoughts, I guess. So normally, in a normal world, this would have been the Toronto Bike Jam weekend. So it would have been prime time right now. We would have been probably watching the pros qualify. I would have been hanging out maybe with Todd and Joe and Dave. So just wanted to point out that normally this is like, especially for just being in Canada, like it's been so cold and usually it's still snowy out. There's still like 2 feet of snow. It's still -1 outside. Still can't ride. So going to the Toronto Bike Show is always like 3 whole days of riding and seeing like awesome people. So it's normally like one of the highlights of my year. So of course they didn't do it this year. Hopefully next year we'll see everyone there. But it's nice to at least see you guys here if I can't see you in Toronto.
Yes. Well, thanks again for coming out. We appreciate it.
I just hacked in, so.
Brett, how about you, Brett?
No, it was, I was completely shocked to see everybody today. Just wanted to say it's great catching up with everyone. Love all you guys. And thanks. You're all important parts of my life that have made my life a lot better.
Thank you. Glad you were here. Hey, Aaron. You got your wish. You requested Chris, and she showed up.
I know, it's pretty amazing. But I just wanted to say thanks to everybody that was on this panel, because all of you have pushed BMX and inclusivity in one way or another, like from people that are just coming back after 20-something years riding to people that have influenced others in ways that you don't even imagine. So like, thank all of you guys for what you've done.
Cool. Thanks, Aaron. Andy, did you get your 43 cents worth? I mean, 86 cents worth because you had to pay twice?
Absolutely. I didn't have any idea who was going to be on this panel, and you had mentioned there was going to be a special guest potentially, and Matt joining, and literally everybody. I follow all of you, and in just the scene and BMX, and just to be a part of this is literally one of the greatest things that's happened to me in a very long time, and it's a dream come true. And I wanted to bring something up because in an older podcast, Joe was talking about how he wasn't famous and and all this stuff. And I just want to say that, Joe, just because you don't perceive yourself as famous doesn't mean that people don't look up to you and would be intimidated to meet you. So, and that goes with anybody. I mean, my friend Matt, that when I was growing up and we would ride in parades, he was just older than me and was a really good rider. And I looked up to him like I look up to you guys. And so, it's that perception of, nobody looks up to me, but you never know. Kids might be looking up to you. Other, older riders, might see me riding. It's like, hey, I'm 40 and I just, started doing this again a couple of years ago. They might pick up their bike and start doing it again. So I just want to say, Joe, you are famous to people. And you do have a responsibility, because with fame comes responsibility. So,
well, thank you for talking sense into me. What you guys are looking at is the basis of the religion based on the Stoke. And so to make good on that responsibility, I'm going to structure that religion.
Awesome.
Okay, I want to just plug a couple things for next week. We're hoping to have Rob Nolly, and maybe he can either confirm or deny here on Factor Freestyle whether there's a special show team that's going to be performing at the UCI event in April. There's rumor out there that there might be some special show team that's going to open up the grand ceremony for the UCI event that's happening in Arkansas. Also, we are looking to book Woody Itzen and maybe Trevor Meyer. Trevor Meyer has turned the coin now to the other side, and he's open because he's seen some of these formats. He thought it was going to be like an interview type style. And I tried to describe it to him and said, it's more of a magazine kind of lifestyle conversation. So Trevor and Woody are in the hopper. And then special thanks to our sponsors, Reclamation Bikes, Flatland Fuel, Cool Stop. Any other sponsors, Joe, that we have? Is that everybody?
Wilkerson Airlines.
Oh, Wilkerson Airlines.
The birth of the freestyle movement, and Xavier Mendez Enterprises.
Exactly.
And Kirkland Coconut Water.
Kirkland Coconut Water.
And the Stoke.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to end it with. Is that we are in the business of creating Stoke, and that's what we're really all about. It's how can we do more? And I think we did the summit a couple of weeks ago, the Summit 43, which was like a workshop, and Bill Nitschke was the one of the keynote speakers, and he said that this life-changing moment for him was when he heard RL talk about freestyle, and he said, there's only a handful of people making a living on their bikes. And Bill took that, and Bill Nitschke has made his living on a bike doing shows for the last, how many years now, Joe? Was it 35?
60 years.
60 years. So I just feel like, promoting that Stoke, promoting people to do something that they love is what we're all about. If you want any more information, follow us on YouTube, which is Factor Freestyle, or factorfreestyle.com. We'll have other upcoming events, maybe your contest, Andy. We'll work on that. More workshops and more updates to come.
Yeah.
I would like to end by saying you all are extraordinary humans. And these conversations inspire me to write down the little principles that you're living your lives by that have led to your extraordinary lives. So thank you for hanging out and being cool. And thank you for inspiring me and for following Frog Bars.
Ray, are you tearing up right now? Are you?
No, I want to know if we can raise some money by auctioning off your shirt.
This shirt.
Yeah.
Yes.
It probably wouldn't fit me, but I'd love to have it. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm so glad that Ray noticed I put on my nice dress shirt.
That's a nice dress shirt. If you're going to, if you're an Amish guy going to a barn raising or something, or a shoe fly pie eating contest, that thing, like, if you have a pair of jeans on with some boots, that'd be something.
Yeah, let's see what's on your feet, Dave.
Oh, we better not.
You look like you're going to take out a small business loan for some kooky idea.
Wait, take out a small business loan to start your Church of Stoke and wear that shirt.
Exactly.
I'm looking at the shirt and I can't believe that in Oregon they still have Chess King stores in the mall.
Man, you guys are tough. You're a tough crowd here. Tough crowd.
I love your shirt. I love it. I think it looks great on you.
Okay, thank you.
Spirit of inclusivity.
Yeah.
Spirit of inclusivity.
Yeah,
we ruined it right in the last second. We ruined it. We ruined the show.
Okay, well, thanks again, everyone. It was wonderful and so great to see everyone. We'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Thanks.
See you guys.
All right.
Peace out.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.